Good morning, everyone. It is April 14th, Tuesday, and I'm going to try something a little bit different today. I recorded this video using Google Hangout, Google Meets, what you guys have been using to contact me if you needed any help, and I'm going to see if I can just project my screen onto there, talk you through it, and then move forward that way. It might be a little bit better than what we've been doing. They'll still be on YouTube, and you could still go over it and review it as is. But we're gonna give this a shot, and we'll see if it works. Remember, this is completely new experience for everybody, so we're all kind of working our way through it. With that being said, let's get it going. I'm going to present our lesson today right now. All right. All right, so let's do it to it. Today we are talking about the Mayan law and Mayan government. All right, so let's start by reviewing a little bit. We talked a lot about ancient Greece and ancient Rome about city states. Remember, a city state is a city with its surrounding territories that form an independent state. All right, very important as we move forward. So, as far as the Mayans and city states are concerned, the Maya civilization consisted of a large number of city states. Each city state had its own independent government. A city state was made up of a major city, it had its surrounding areas, and sometimes it had like smaller settlements next to it. Archaeologists believe there were hundreds of Mayan cities at the peak of the Mayan civilization, and each one of them had their own like form of government. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Mayan kings. All right, so for the Mayan kings, the kings were given the right to rule by God, or at least they believed they were given the right to rule by God. They worked as a messenger from the gods. They ruled each state and passed down the ruling of those states to their eldest son. A lot of what we are going to talk about, you'll see as familiar because different civilizations use the same thing. What's interesting about this is that the civilizations that we're talking about are completely on the other side of the world. So, with a lack of communication, it's very interesting that these two civilizations kind of ran very similar, or at least the ones that we've discussed in the past. All right, let's move forward. Mayan nobles. So we had a couple questions about nobles, and here's what the nobles actually like were. We know that the kings and the nobles lived inside the inner city, and for the most part had money. But your Mayan nobles included priests, government officials, court officers, town rulers, scribes, which were people who wrote things down. Tribute collectors were kind of like tax collectors, and military leaders. All of these people were considered nobles, had a little bit of money, and lived inside the town. Remember, we talked about commoners yesterday. The commoners would live on those outskirts, so not inside the inner city. All right, so each city state was ruled by a king. The Mayan believed that the king was given the right to rule by the gods. They believed that the king worked as an intermediary between the people and the gods. The leaders of the Mayans were called the Halak Uinik or the Aha. It meant lord or ruler. So the nobles themselves, they were very powerful as well, though. They had councils, they had tribunals, and they kind of ran the government itself very similar to ancient Rome. and the councils that ancient Rome had. All right, we are going to move forward. Mayan priests. Mayan priests. So, Mayan priests were the keepers of knowledge. They learned and taught reading and writing to others. The priests had many roles, and their duties included performing religious ceremonies, instructing the sons of the nobles, keeping the calendars. We'll get into the calendars later on. Studying astronomy and astrology, that's the stars. Divining the king, nobles, and commoners. Also, they were prophets. So when they say divining, it means they were the religious leaders in that um, in Mayan culture. So because religion, and we get into religion a little bit later too, because religion was such an important part of the Mayan life, the priests were powerful figures in the government as well. In some ways, the king was considered a priest too. The king of the Mayan often came to the priest for advice on what to do in a crisis, to get predictions. That's the prophecy thing that we talked about, prophecy, a prediction of the future. As a result, the priests had great influence on how the king actually ruled. All right, Mayan law. So the Mayans had very strict laws. Crimes such as murder, arson is when you set things on fire, and acts against the gods were often punished with death. The punishment was much reduced, however, if it was determined that the crime was an accident. If you broke the law, you appeared in a court where the local leader or noble served as the judge. In some cases, the king would serve as a judge. At the trials, the judge would review the evidence and listen to witnesses. If the person was found guilty, the punishment was carried out immediately. So the Mayans did not have any prisons. Punishments for these crimes included death, slavery, and fines. Sometimes they would shave the person's head, as this was considered a sign of shame. If the victim of the crime wanted to pardon or forgive the accused, the punishment would be reduced. Um, so we talked a little bit yesterday about how, with the fashion, that the Mayans would grow their hair out. So having long hair for both guys and girls was commonplace for the Mayans at this point. All right, here's what's going on. Your assignment today. There are 3 questions on the Google Doc that is attached to this, and it is relating to the video and the slides that are attached. As always, I'm going to attach the slideshow that I just showed you. You can use that as a reference. Um, your second part of the assignment is this. Yesterday, I talked briefly about Mayan Ball, a ball game that they had in the Mayan civilization. I want you to watch a little clip from The Road to El Dorado, which is an old cartoon. And I want you to describe in 3 to 5 sentences what you see going on as far as a ball game. And maybe tell me what you think it relates to today, or what we have that is very, very similar. And then that'll be your assignment for today. All right, let's see. All right, so what I did was I kind of screen shared everything. We went through our lesson. I gave you your assignment. Now you guys are good to go. As always, I am here for you via Google Hangout and through email. You guys can always contact me both ways. Email is throughout the day. I'm always on there checking everything. So if you have any questions, just email me. I'll get to you when I see it. And if you have a question during our class time, the link that is in our Google Classroom will send you to our Google Hangout link where you can find me there. If the screen is blank, it shows just whatever my little logo thing is. there. I'm in front of my computer during our class period. You just have to give it a second and I'll come up. I've seen one or two sign on, see that the page has just that logo, and then sign immediately off. You're not even giving me a chance to get on there. So do that, and I'll there for you to help out. So that's it for today. Have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.